Hi, I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Brandon Liam Collins for an interview today. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Could we start this with you telling us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So, a little bit about me. I have been in the entertainment industry since 2022. Before that, my background was in mechanical engineering. And so the switch between doing more very STEM, I think it's like, I always get confused if it's like the left brain or the right brain. I think right brain is creativity and left brain is like more logic, right? So, taking the graph paper part of my brain and mixing it with like I just want to throw paint onto the Jackson Pollock side of my brain has been really fun in the film space because I got to combine both of them and make something that actually is really creative and really fun, but yet has structure in it too. I met my wife in the film industry. We have our own company called Ramus Studios, and I've been acting in verticals since just last summer. So it's been a really fun introduction into this whole world.
I love that. So, what inspired you two to create Rema Studios?
So Raymond Studios was first the brainchild of my wife. Before we started dating, we both had our own eyes set on individual production companies. And when we started dating and then we got married, we realized, hold up, your name for your studio is better than mine. Let's do that one. What Raymond Studios is basically the core of it is wanting to build a better Disney and not better Disney, but like make that kind of like early 2000s films that like that Pirates of the Caribbean, The Mummy, like those epic and really family friendly films that we all fell in love with, and make things that are more like four quadrant, like so every demographic can really enjoy and love together, versus
Mm.
just for one group of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love different genres. I know that some people do not like certain things, but as a business, you need to create something different for everyone.
Totally. Yeah. And just
Acceptable.
like the stories that we're making are ones that we love, right? Because,
Mhm.
like, dude, if I get to be in a Pirates of the Caribbean sequel, sign
Mhm.
me up, right? If I get to
Yep.
do, like, I know we were nerding out a little bit before we started rolling about sci-fi. Like, if I
Hmm.
get to be in The Expanse or like do our own version of like those kinds of like 1950s short stories, like brought into a different light and really cool. Like, the one for Timeless is about time travel agents that get lost in time, right? Like one person gets sent back into the early 2000s and gets rewritten into time. So it's a really fun exploration of like, who are you as a person? Are you who your DNA, or are you the environment that you're like raised in? And so really testing
Mhm.
those things, like sci-fi gets to test those like fundamental moral dilemmas in a really fun space that I don't think any other genre does quite as well.
No, and I really want that. Like I said to you before, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good.
Oh my
Can't
gosh.
wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right. So you're someone who's not just acting, but also, working behind the scenes as an assistant director and things like that. How has working behind the scenes helped you as an actor?
That's a great question. Yeah, so like all of the hats that I wear, it's multifaceted. I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm a producer, and like anything that's needed on set, like I'm a Swiss Army knife. Like in some cases, I am also PAing for the people there. Like it's so funny. My wife, when we were first dating, I got to be a PA on one of her sets. And my goal was to just get her water and food, right? So there's certain
Mhm.
things that you see in the process when someone's so locked in that
Mhm.
you get to be what the ship needs in order to sail and off into the sunset. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's an insight. I think there's a double-edged sword, right? If you're so aware of what goes into post-production, sometimes it can be inhibiting because you're thinking in terms of the edit. But because of my experience both acting and directing and editing, I understand what is needed for the editor to do their job well. And filmmaking, for the most part, is an editor's medium. They're stitching things together, and it's a giant collage of all of the best moments of what's done, right? So there's so much that where the story can be remade in the edit. So making sure that I am able to like face towards camera in a way that actually I'm facing out towards my stage, the audience based off the lens, making sure I'm not blocking eye lines of the other person if we're doing two-shot coverage, making sure I'm talking to the camera guy, being like, okay, hey, the director's really locked in right now. Hey, am I good to move from here? Like I'm looking in the framing for this, right? I'm good here. I'm good here. And if I start like moving up and down and all the place, right? We talked about having vertigo when we're filming, right? Like that is 100% something I'm conscious of. So I think understanding the technical really makes me sharp on set, and then being able to forget it and just be like really free in a moment. There's that balance because I see people that get like who do both things and get a little bit in their head. And I've 100% been guilty of that. So that's how both being behind the camera and in front of it has affected me as an actor.
Yeah, yeah. That actually answers my next question. So I'm like, do you find yourself thinking more of the bigger picture of the scene rather than just your performance?
Mm,
Which,
that's a great question. Yeah, I did talk about it a little bit, but I think there's a more thorough answer to that. So
mm,
that's a great question. I think I have to think big before I start, and all of my planning's big. All of my research, character work, everything's thinking, who is this person, but also who are they in the service of the story? Like, what is this person really showing either in the protagonist or about society? Like, at the core, what is the author and the director really trying to show with this person? That helps me immensely so that when I show up in the scene, okay, now the scene is just me and this person focusing on this one thing. And it's the tension of me wanting something, them wanting something else. And I just get to be here because I've done all of the extra homework that I get to throw it away and just be present. I have like that, I guess, emotional muscle memory just to go. Um, but yeah, I'd say I have to think big and then let it go.
yeah. And as you were speaking before about editing, I think editing can make or break a film. So I
Totally.
think it's very important. And I also think it's great where you said, you've got water and food for your wife, because that just goes to show the importance of how actually important that job is.
Yeah.
And at least now that you've done it, you can understand it. Yeah.
Yes, there is no job on set that is not deserving of honor and respect.
Yeah.
Everything is, everyone is hired on a set. Like making films is extremely expensive. Every single job is like cast for or hired because it is absolutely essential. So like if we did not have PAs, we would not be having healthy running productions.
Yes, yes. I was speaking to somebody else a while ago and they had a production manager or whatever, and he was in a different state while they were
Mm.
filming, but he was the only person that remembered to order them dinner, even though he was in a different state. So like they were so busy they forgot to order dinner, but he
Wow.
remembered. And so that it's important. It's just so
Yeah.
important. So yeah. Okay. What's something actors often misunderstand about an AD role that you wish more people knew?
AD role. Yeah, I think most ADs are, because you're asking about specifically assistant directing, right?
Oh, if you can go with anything really, just more of like
Okay.
behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing that I think actors sometimes don't think about when it comes to running a production, um, the it's really important to have a sense of fun and camaraderie on set, and also have that within bounds because the schedule is usually really tight, and there's always the risk that we're not going to get all the shots that we need. Now, luckily, most of the verticals that I've been in and all the like different film sets that I've been on, we've gotten everything that we needed. I've also been on sets before where you have to be like, okay, we have the choice between either getting this and that, and it could completely alter the story, and we don't have the budget for pickups. So what do we do? Like, how do we work within this constraint where I have to like, there's a term in writing called killing your darling, where it's like if something isn't serving the story, you have to kill it. But in this case, it does serve the story. And now you have to retell your story in post because you're missing this critical scene because nobody could focus. Nobody can get their stuff together. Or it's just because there's limitations with production and working with location manager, or like there's a siren blaring outside. Okay, oh, we have 5 seconds. Okay, now we got to go. Let's zone in. Let's get after it. Um, and also the importance of like knowing your lines and being able to really just lock in and go. And we go through so many pages. Like most of the sets that I'm on, we're going through 12 to 15 pages a day. And in
Mhm.
terms of like dialogue, a page is around a minute, right? So think of like 15 minutes memorized, but the context for each of those scenes is different. So you're having to know where you're at in a specific moment, right? You're having to know who am I talking to, what's going on, what are the critical things that I need to say here, and what do I have permission from the director to be a little more loose with to feel organic and connected and what's actually going on. There's
Mm.
a lot of scenes that we go through and not being able to like, especially on other actors' coverage, just being able to lock in and say what you need to say has definitely cost a little bit of time. There's always grace because we go through a lot of scenes and a lot of pages, but just being prepared, I think is huge. And
Yeah.
just like 10 minutes early, have a choice that you're going with and be kind to the people that you're with because they have a
Yes.
lot going on their end too.
Yes. I highly believe that table reads are very important before doing anything, 'cause then you can kind of like get an aspect of what everybody's thinking before you go in. Because I know
Yeah.
that sometimes you could go into a scene where they think, well, you think it goes one way and they give you something completely different. And then you just have to be like so quick as to change it, which would also
Yeah.
use time. So,
Yes. Yeah. And especially when it comes to getting on the same creative direction as the director, like you are
yeah.
hired as an actor to tell a story, to like have a specific take. And sometimes the take that you come up with the character isn't the right take. And that's okay. Like you have a strong choice. It doesn't mean that it's like the wrong choice per se, but it's not
Mm,
the choice that the director wants. And understanding like, oh, if I bring something that someone doesn't like, that doesn't mean that I'm not a good actor. Like you can
mm,
be a phenomenal actor and do something the director's not wanting. And so
yeah.
having the humility to be like, oh, this isn't about me right now. This is about me serving the story. How do I best do that while also still advocating for my character? It's a fine balance there because as things get crazy on set, sometimes like, oh, okay, I think someone on set maybe forgot about this one point in the scene where this happens. I should bring this up now and ask them how they want me to reconcile the note they just gave me versus what's going to happen in the future and see what would best serve them in this case. And having that kind of like servant leader mentality on set, even if you're not the ultimate position of leadership like the director or the producer.
Yes. And that's why it's so important to read the entire script, especially because you're shooting out of order. So
Yes.
you
I've
need
I've
to
seen
know.
people be surprised with like, wait, that's in there? Like, yeah, bud. Like we're
Did you
shooting
read
that
it?
today.
Oh gosh. I mean, I know you get your notes, but still, like, it's really hard. Like, you can go in reading your notes and your sides and things, but if you don't know what's happening later down the track, you'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
I could have made an acting choice for that. So it's, yeah.
Yes. Yes. There's absolutely been those moments. That's a really good insight.
Thank you. All right. Um, what's the biggest difference you've noticed between independent productions and more structured TV work?
That's a great question. Man, there's so many different kinds of TV sets, but I think there's a general consensus on them in terms of like a lot of production companies, if they're working in TV and film, they've been doing this for a long time, and they have a specific way that they do it, and they know how their ship is being sailed. Different TV shows and productions can be like different kinds of ships. Like one can be more like thinking of like Game of Thrones, for example, that one is a huge, tall ship, right? This is a big budget, huge production, and there's a lot of moving parts. You got to lock in and go because it is a long journey to the destination, and it's a lot of money and energy to get there. Like it requires a lot of precision. There's other shows like The Office or Parks and Recreation where, because of the scale of production, you're able to have a lot more freedom with improv and finding things. That's a beautiful place to be in and knowing that, oh, we can do it this way and then let's try it a couple different ways and see how that flows. I think any production making is a little bit like that where you have a plan, you have a vision, and you have such a dialogue with people because usually in indie filmmaking, people are doing it because they love it. They're not doing it because of the money. Because a lot of indie filmmaking, I think there's now becoming like a business market or a business model where they can be more lucrative, especially since things have pushed a lot more AI where you don't know where the mainstream is going. And so it's really easy, like having VFX in your shots, it doesn't mean what it used to anymore. So story
Yeah.
really is king in a huge way. And so in an indie perspective, people really want to be a part of an epic story, right? So there's a lot more dialogue, there's a lot more communication, there's a lot more willingness to like do rehearsals before you show up and like kind of figure things out. And then there's also different indie productions where they're still finding their legs and they haven't done quite too many. And you're like, oh, well, this is going to be a wonderfully imperfect day. It's going to be spontaneous. We're just going to go. Whatever happens gets to be what it is. How can I best serve right now? Because the my dream of what this could be might not be it. So let's just see what happens.
Yeah. My friend, she just got she's creating her own story at the moment. And she set it up together. She's self-funding as well.
Mm.
Um, and she's just done her first day of shooting. And I was
Oh,
just like,
really?
oh, so exciting for her. And like I don't know how it went yet. There could have been, things that she didn't realize would come up, and I can't wait to talk to her about it. But yeah, like you said, so many unexpected factors can happen.
Yeah,
But with when you're in it with the love of the story rather than the money that you make from it, there's a big
right.
difference in storytelling, I think.
Totally. Yeah. I'm excited for you to debrief with your friend because the post shoot like in and out or like that's a very American reference. The post shoot like getting dinner together afterwards and kind of really like talking about what went well, what didn't. Like, oh, I was so excited about that scene. Did you see that scene? And just really
Yeah.
living it up or like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we survived that. That was a close call. Whew. Like, thank you, Jesus. We did not know how that was going to go. Like, there's a lot of those
Yeah.
moments that are so much fun to really connect with. But yeah, I'm stoked for your friend. That's a really fun place to be in. And yeah, like
Yeah.
doing it for the love of the craft, I think gives you endurance
Mm.
to know that, hey, I'm not, my job in this is it's a business. It's to make money. It's to make sure that people like livelihoods are like taken care of. But for the most part, like, hey man, we could all get like diner jobs if we really wanted to. Like we could all work in like my case engineering or for someone else working in business or finance or whatever, right? Like there's so many different avenues of the art that we could or not the art, but like the how what we could do to put food on the table, right? And there's no difference in terms of like honor and respect for each one of those things, right? Like we have chosen something that's fun. We get to play adult dress up and we get to tell
Mhm.
stories that hopefully really impact people, right? So it's the stakes are low and the stakes are high at the same time. It's this weird dichotomy. But since we get to really tell stuff that's awesome, let's really send it and go for it versus just like phoning it in. And I always get
Yeah.
confused with people who are in film that like I can tell they've maybe lost some of the spark or energy for why they're doing what they're doing.
Mm.
Because this could be a really business and industry if you let it like if you think that it is going to serve you and it
Mm.
really won't. Like you might get really cool opportunities and leverage to tell awesome stories or even just make fun connections, but most of it is what you put into it. And then you get a return from really investing into people and mostly relationships. It's a very people first business.
Yeah. Yes, I've spoken to a few people who have like kind of their ambition for it has like kind of dropped. Their like love for it has like
Yeah.
disappeared a little bit because they're kind of having to do the same thing over and over again, and it's not something they enjoy. But then they get that different story, and then that's the story that they love, and it just sparks them back up again, and you can see, and they just want that back. They just want
Yeah.
that creative project back, and you just wish for them that they can get more of that. But
Oh yeah.
sometimes you don't have a choice of what you have to take. So
Yeah, I think that's when it's really important for you to make your own things. And like it
yeah.
doesn't have to be a giant TV show or like an epic movie. It can just be you with a friend breaking out like a simple camera, maybe even something on your phone, because like iPhones have gotten really good right now.
Hmm.
And like you
Yeah.
can just shoot something and have fun. Like there's
Hmm.
people on YouTube who have just shot their own comedy bits and then
Hmm.
gone on to make like signed deals for script writing for like there's this one guy who did it with a horror film and has done remarkably well. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but like there's stories of that happening. And so like if you're
Mm.
making something for you that you really love, even if it goes nowhere, you can show up on a set and do something for someone else that doesn't necessarily fulfill you, but you're not desperate or hungry because that inner artist is being fed, it's alive, and you're not dependent on anyone else to like make it for you. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up is like they realize that no one is going to save them or to
Yeah.
do like have them ascend into whatever stardom or fame they're really looking for. And that's a dangerous place to be in, like needing fame in order to feel like you're okay as a person. That's real
Yeah.
slippery slope.
Yeah.
So like if you make your own things, you get to show up with gratitude because you're already good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's some great advice. Great advice. All right. If you had to choose between directing a perfect scene or delivering a perfect performance, which would you pick and why?
You're asking the good questions here.
Thank
That's a
you.
really tough one. Man, man, different choice for different reasons. Man, there's something about acting that I will never give up. There's something about acting where I get to be so alive in a scene, and you're acting with your all of the work and prep work in your mind that you've put into it before you're acting, you're putting your heart into it and your emotions, and you're acting with your body, right? So there's like this weird like synergy that happens where you feel so fully immersed in something and fully present in a way that I hope that we get to feel fully present in most of our lives, but you get have permission almost like to be too much, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like most
Yeah.
people are always holding back or like really cognizant of like, okay, I shouldn't say this thing or do this thing or like this might be too much here. And in acting, there's so much work where it's like you get to choose, depending on the character, what would they actually say here. But a lot of scenes are written so that you actually do get to say the thing. You get to be too much. You get to be exactly big and full of life and something that people really connect with because you're saying the thing that they usually don't, right? And so that's so fun to be like just fully send it into telling a story and to feel it with every part of you. I think there's nothing quite like that for me. Um, and yet that is nothing if it isn't done in the service of something beyond yourself. Right? It's if it's nothing if it's just like you and your audition room, like, whew, that was really good. I really like the way that that thing went. And then like it's not blessing anybody. It's not in
Mm.
this ensemble teamwork thing. And so like if I'm in a scene that is fantastic with people, I think I enjoy that more than just doing it by myself. And so that part of me as a director, like I got to set someone up to knock it out of the park. That is fantastic. Like it's it's about me supporting them to tell the story the best way that I can. And so that's fun to watch and like feel like I gave you everything you needed to like be fully free. That's almost like what's better, your kid like getting a trophy or you as the parent watching the kid get the trophy, right? It feels like a
Hmm.
similar question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
man, it's tough. I think at the end of the day, acting with people and being fully present with them is so much fun. I might pick that one. You're
Yeah.
asking some good questions. Oh, that's tough. I'll go with that for now. I might change my mind in the next 5 minutes.
That's all right. I have children, so I understand exactly what you said just then. It's like whether it's watching them or just, yeah, I get that. So
Mhm.
both are still great. Both are still great.
Yes,
So, yeah.
100%.
All right. If someone discovered you today, what project would you want them to see first and why?
Ooh, that's a great question. Man, I I had a lot of fun on my first project, Last Spark of Us. But I think specifically Falling for You Again was really interesting because, and this is like things that are released right now. There's one project that I'm really excited when my buddy finishes it that I got to act in. Um, I need to order my thoughts. Which one do I want to talk about first? I want to give you something that's good for the edit. Um, there's the actor brain coming in again with the editor.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a really good question. Can I cheat and have one that isn't released yet, but the moment that it is, I want someone to watch it? Okay,
Can do
so
that.
there's a film that I'm working on right now with a friend. Uh, it's called Keep a Sharp Eye Out, and I get to play a villain. I get to play a
Mm.
vampire that got turned during the Mexican-American War, and so he's a modern day cowboy vampire. And
Wow.
that one, man, there's something. I love playing villains. I love playing characters, especially when the villain has a point and there's
Hmm.
something they're like, you know what? You're going about this the wrong way, but I get where you're coming from. That's so compelling. Not to like romanticize like villainy, but like to be like, hey, sometimes moments are complicated. It really matters not compromising and not letting the ends justify the means. Because I think people do that a
Hmm.
lot. And I
Yeah.
there you could make an argument. There's some cases where there's allowances. I think most people use that excuse to permiss evil and to
Hmm.
permiss selfishness and be like, well, it's serving something better. It's like, well, if you're going about it in a way that's ultimately like destroying lives or doing X, Y, or Z, like that cannot be the way that is ultimately good. Um, but this cowboy is the epitome of that, of just like the
Hmm.
thrill of the hunt. And when the
Hmm.
hunter realizes he's being hunted by this guy, it's like, oh, there's something in that that's I don't think there's been a project yet where I've really got to sink my teeth into something like that. I
Hmm.
love playing like the different archetypes, like the CEO, like the protective brother, or like in the last one that I did, like playing a protective uncle. Like those are fun roles to play. And I think also like showing having the opportunity to show masculinity done well is great.
Mm,
Sometimes with verticals, the characters are complicated, and so it's not like masculinity necessarily done perfectly. It's masculinity done
mm,
a little bit like broken with the best that they have, because you're hoping to see redemption, but you're also seeing like a lot of different cracks in the mirror of like who a person can be. Um,
mm,
but yeah, so in terms of like what hasn't been released yet, definitely Cult.
mhm.
And also like some of the stuff that I'm working on with my wife, like those ones are definitely going to take the cake. Um,
Yeah.
but outside of that, I'd probably say Falling for You again. And that one was really fun because I got booked for the lead in that and without having any kissing or intimacy scenes a part of it, which is very rare,
Hmm.
especially for
Yeah.
verticals. And so that
Yeah.
was a really fun challenge of like, how can I make the romance really sell without
Mm,
any of that?
mm,
And I think like it can be easy to show romance with a kiss. It can be easy to show romance with a bedroom scene, but to
mhm,
show it with just like a look and just be fully
mhm.
present in that space, that's a really fun challenge for me. And I'm excited to do more of that.
Yeah, especially with the looks and things like that. People are just, you got to pull it off without them expecting something else to happen without being satisfied that it didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's a fun puzzle.
yeah, but that's really, really cool. And you know how much I want to see your timeless one come out. I need it. I need
Yes.
it.
Oh, I can't
Yes.
wait for you to see the trailer. It's going to be so much fun.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. All right. Do you think emotion in acting should be controlled or instinctive?
Mm, that's a wonderful question. Um, I think you should, I think structure makes way for good art. I think having constraints and parameters on what you're doing and focus really allows you to make beautiful art. You need to be able to drop into emotion and be present. In some cases, what comes to the surface isn't what you thought it was, right? Like I can be focusing on my breath in a scene, and like I won't go into a full-on acting class right now or master class with you. Um, but like there's so much where like just focusing on like, okay, what is my breath doing right now? Okay, I'm relaxed. I'm calm. Well, how does this character breathe? How does their breath impact them? And also just like thinking about voice, like where does this person register rest? Okay, are they more of a nervous person? Okay, well, like nerves, how does that work on the body? Okay, nerves might pull the larynx up a little bit. And so as you're talking, you might be a little bit more nervous here. As you're kind of like communicating, you might look down a little bit more, kind of look away. And then you'll start noticing that some of the things that you're doing just have a natural reaction, right? And so you can kind of create a wave that you ride by focusing on what's happening in your body. And I think there's moments where you can pull on emotion, and I think that can be productive. I think it also can be dangerous because like your body doesn't know that you're acting. So there's certain emotions where if you relive trauma, and there's been really interesting uh, brain studies on what it's like for you to visualize pain in your past, and you physically go through it, right? So if you make yourself have a panic attack, congratulations. You look like you're having a panic attack because you are. And I don't know if that's the way that we want our actors to be able to tell these great stories. So yes, I do think you should be able to connect to emotion and really be present with who you are and who the person you're talking to is. But are there ways to do that safely? Yes. And I think that's where technique comes in. And in order to do that well, you need space and a safe environment to really stress test things well. Um, and that's where the actor work is 90% done off the screen.
Yeah. And going back into that trauma can be even more dangerous because you've got to get back out of it
Yeah.
to continue on the day. And sometimes it's hard to get back out of those circumstances. So,
Yes. Yeah. That brings up something that's really interesting. I've seen that on set
mm,
where I've seen someone carry the weight of something that's heavy, like thinking about their grandmother, for example. I've heard that a lot, or like a parent that's passed and like I've lost my mom, right? So like that's something I will not touch because those memories are really sacred for me. And you could say that like using those memories for the purpose of acting can feel like a high calling, and I can understand that. But for me, there's
mm,
something so important about protecting that. that I won't bring it out or try to. It to me, it feels like manipulating it for a scene. But
Mm,
I've
mm,
seen if someone's using real emotion or real memories, if they're happy ones, it's fantastic and they're able to kind of like really tap into something awesome. But if they're negative ones, it's almost like you have a cloud or a fog around you that's hard to shake. You really need a huge gust of wind to really clear the air. And there's an emotional toll there that I don't experience in the same way when I just empathize with my character. Because if you just get to cry with a friend, you don't necessarily take it on internally, even though you're
yeah,
like, man, that was really hard. And I just
yeah,
want you to know that I see you and I see that moment, and you did not deserve that. And like
yeah.
channeling that right into a performance is really interesting. But just trying to like yeah, like stir up, especially things that are unhealed, like to your point,
Hmm.
really dangerous. Really
Yeah,
dangerous. I know people who can just like act on a drop of a hat, and it's almost like a
yeah.
physical reaction where they're able to just like contort muscles in their face. My wife can
Hmm.
do it, and it's fantastic to like watch her be like, it's part emotion, but it's also part like understanding your body. I'm growing in
Mm.
that area, especially with verticals. Like you got to learn how to do that. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
taking the express track into that.
Yes, like Meg Bush, she's my favorite actress, and she can just cry at the drop of a hat because she knows the
Yeah.
techniques to do that. And it's just like, how do you do that?
It
But
takes a lot of time in your room alone, just like, what do I do when I cry? Is it my breathing? Is it this? Is it that? Like,
mm,
there's another actress, Erin, who I worked with on The Last Spark of Us,
Aaron
and
Alcott.
yes, she's phenomenal. I had a great time working with her. I loved being her set sibling.
Mm,
But she like broke down for me her process after one of our scenes. I was like, you are such a phenomenal actress. Like, how exactly do you go about doing this? And I was able to use her technique in order to book my next role. And it was like, that's really
mm.
fun. That's really fun to be able to like get that from someone you're on set with.
Yeah, yeah, that's brilliant. You
Again,
learn so much from each other, you
yeah. And
know.
again, to my point before, I have not mastered it yet at all, which is why I'm still growing in that area. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
we learn
Yeah,
so much on set from people.
yeah, I agree completely. All right. Do you prefer very specific direction or being given space to figure things out?
Mm, I prefer knowing exactly the direction we're going in, but
Hmm.
freedom in how to get there.
Yeah.
Like I want you hire me because you believe that there's something that I carry that can help make your project better than it could have been had you just done it on your own. So I love to feel trusted and supported by the director. And I also love to feel supported by the director to go where they want to go versus we don't talk about it. I was like, okay, well, then I'm coming up with a choice. And that might not be the choice that you want, but I'm going to make it memorable and specific, and we'll see what happens. And then you find out later, it's like, actually, I'm wanting this. I'm like, okay, that's good for me to know. Would have loved that earlier. But now that we know that, let's go in that direction. And yeah, I like understanding not just having notes like be more stoic, which I've gotten a lot of, especially for some of the verticals. Like they want a very specific archetype in a lot of the positions. Like for example, like the mafia boss or the CEO, that's a really common one. They really want this polished man who's very hardened and like speaks with a really gruff voice, but also you can tell that he has unresolved trauma with his mother. So stuff comes out of his eyes, right? There's a lot of that where
Hmm.
like you want him emotionally accessible enough that you root for him falling in love with the girl and the girl falling in love with him, but he's also like portraying like this tough, like John Wayne kind of character who's just here,
Hmm.
but really has a hard time feeling. So like I get that note a lot. And I love to know where that note's coming from. I love to know, like, okay, why is he
Hmm.
stoic? What about him makes him feel like he's not, doesn't have permission to show what's going on inside of him right now? And like, if I get the note, you cannot show this person how you feel because if you do, it'll endanger the lives of people around you. That's a really fun note. Or even when it comes to blocking, like, you can't cross this line because if you do, it gives them all the power.
Hmm.
There's something really the
Okay.
fun that comes alive there with like, oh, that's getting my creative juices flowing. Yeah. Ooh, let's
Hmm.
explore that. Versus like slow down, speed up. I get it for the edit. So I have complete understanding. But like you need to slow down because if any second of what is being said goes by, people will die.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. So like finding ways to make those notes really connect emotionally, or like those are my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. And I always think it's best when a director leads you to a scene rather than tells you what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think
There's
that means
basic
it's more
blocking,
you.
but
Yeah.
100% true what you're saying. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you off.
No, no, you're fine. Yeah, I just think it's very important for the actors to be able to come up with their own type of story rather than just being told what to do.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's why casting's so important. It's the process of, do we have the same vision? And like you test the person in the audition room, like, hey, do you have the same understanding of this character that I do? And if the
Mhm.
first time you audition with a person, like speaking as a director and as someone who's done casting, you see someone do something that's very specific, and you're like, oh, hold up, that's interesting. Huh, that's not what I thought of. Is that what it is? That might be it. That's actually really
Mhm.
cool. Let's have them come back. I want them to try it the way that I first thought about it, because that might be better. And they might not have just known that that's the direction I was going in. But let's have them try that again. That
Mhm.
was alive. Or it's just
Mhm.
the fact of like, oh, this person's a really good actor. They just need a little bit of nudging. So let me see if they can
Mhm.
handle direction well. Because some actors
Yeah.
do not take notes well. And if their
Yeah.
ego flares up and they think they're not a good actor if this person has notes or is not getting it right away. And so then they get defensive. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's going to be hard to work with for 8 days in a row on a set when we're shooting. Huh. Okay, this person has a lot of talent, but I'm not sure if I'm going to work with them. Like you also run
Yeah.
into that.
Yes, yes. But you hopefully don't run into that much because eventually people will just be like, I don't want to work with that person anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or hopefully they just learn, which is also great. And I have seen that on
Yes.
set where just like they're just green. And
Yeah.
sometimes they just need someone saying, hey, man, you're doing a good job. You just like, you get to
Yeah.
do it a different way and you get to play.
Mhm.
Have fun playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So when you were talking about backstory before, if you don't get a lot of backstory in a scene, do you like to make it up?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a
Hmm.
lot where I try to, you get characters in different movies, TV, and in verticals that you are given clues about who they are. And so you really feel like a detective. You feel like a Sherlock Holmes, where it's like, okay, who actually is this person based off the context of what they've said now versus then, and what's everything in between those moments? What are the moments in between the scenes that I should be thinking about? And what are the moments before the scene and after? Like, where's this person coming from and where are they going? And that only can be those judgments can only be made, or I guess in a better way is saying not judgments, because judgment is like you superimposing your vision onto something. I guess deductions, going with the Sherlock
Mm.
Holmes analogy. Your deductions come from reading the entire script front to back, maybe like 2 or 3 times, so that you understand where you're at in the moments. And it's like, okay, this feels like this what this person would do. Well, let me just pretend that's the case and then really flush this person out. And the choices that I make will be in line with this vision. And so, you know what? I'm choosing. This is reality right now. And if the director gives me
Mm.
something else, I'd be like, okay, great. I love that you brought that up. I'd love to ask you a question about that. So, given that this moment happens later, how do these two things kind of coincide? I'd love to hear your thoughts, like how to make those things work. And then usually I've found that asking in that way really prompts and honors the director, so their creativity flows too. So you're in this dialogue. That's really fun. But yeah, the background helps make everything feel specific and grounded and alive.
Yeah.
Or else you don't feel natural and you feel like you're doing like a just a caricature of something, and that's really easy to
Mm.
do. And sometimes I find myself slipping into that when I'm like, it's been a long day. I am dehydrated. I should drink more water. We're here right now. What just happened? We have 2 takes to get this. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna drop in and do the best that I can do. And you just kind of like
Yeah.
let whatever happens happen. But the best work that I have done is when that is fully polished and ready to go.
Hmm. Yeah. Like I know some people go into a backstory that doesn't even make it onto screen, but it still helps them bring their character out on screen.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
that's
that's
really
really
good.
cool. Yeah. All right. Have you ever held something back in a scene on purpose?
Hmm. Yes. Yes, I have. And I think those moments have been really important. Um, I think also understanding who is the scene about? What
Yeah.
is it about? Is it about me having a really big moment? Is that what's serving the story right now? Is that what helping further? Or is it actually really about this one character? And is it my job just to kind of like push buttons as the character to the character, not like taunting them as the actor, but just to kind of like be there to give them what they need. And obviously, when it's not my coverage, my job is to be like a good scene partner and to really show up for them And those are moments where I'm definitely like, my job is not to it's not to hold back. It's to give you everything that you need in order to do a fantastic job in this scene. Because having to pretend that the person that you're acting with gave a completely different performance is something that I think all of actors have to do because sometimes that's the cards that were dealt. But I never want someone to have to experience that. Um, but I think sometimes, especially when it comes to emotions, and especially how a lot of men communicate, have emotion, or I guess better said, don't feel permission to communicate emotion, holding back makes the audience almost like cry on their behalf and like feel more because they feel how much they're fighting something. And so like being a contained storm is a lot more powerful than his lightning bolts shooting out everywhere because it's unfocused. And I think the more that you have something that you're holding on to, but you're letting it be channeled very specifically, it's a lot more exciting to watch.
No, I agree. I agree. I also think subtle moments are more impactful than high dramatic scenes, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
the subtleties. Yeah. All right. What's something you've learned about the industry that changed your expectations completely?
Hmm. That's a great question. You have some really fun questions. I really enjoyed this
Thank
interview.
you.
Um,
Thank you.
man, I think understanding the business side of the industry has really changed my expectation and
Mm,
really focused and lit a fire to make my own stuff. I just see all the time that people are, man, there can be like this hummingbird mentality in LA where it's like you're waiting for flower after flower after flower, job after job after job, and you're constantly you can constantly feel like you're in a begging posture of just like, please, Lord, might I do the art that I want to make? Does anyone have a
mhm,
patron anywhere? I would love to make something beautiful. Like that's a lot of the time. That's how you feel. And when
mhm,
you realize that, like for some people, things are just about money, and those are the people that sometimes you're asking to help fund the art that you're trying to make. Having a different way to make it is a lot better, and having a direct relationship with an audience and making things for them and to them that also you're your first audience, right? You're the person that you're excited to make things for. Um, that's done everything for me. Like my faith and relationship with God has been huge because there's no way that I've been able to navigate this industry without having some level of rest and security, knowing when everything's going crazy, I'm ultimately going to be fine. Because there's a lot of things where like I don't know what the state of the geopolitical climate's going to be tomorrow. Like I have no idea where strikes are going to happen next because there's been a lot of those and it's really hurt a lot of actors. I have
yeah,
no idea how AI is going to completely disrupt this space, right? Like there's so many
mhm,
things like I don't know and I could be really scared. I have to trust that there's something better that is out there and something better I get to be a part of. And that even if I fail doing it, it's better to have failed doing something that you love than trying to chase something that is a dead end.
yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that statement. Absolutely. All right. What's the hardest scene you've had to do?
Hardest thing I've had to do. Specifically when it comes to the industry, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want to do that, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hmm. Doing all-nighters are never fun, especially when you're
Hmm.
shooting. Um, like night shoots, those can be really tricky, making sure that you're healthy, you have energy, you're alert, not just being completely like micro dosed with caffeine. Because like I know some people on set, they're just like chugging Celsius like there's no world tomorrow. I'm just
Hmm.
like, man, if I'm on caffeine, like right now, like Kathy, you're getting me completely decaffeinated. Like this is normal baseline energy for Brandon, right? Do you want to
Hmm.
see me in sixth gear? I don't think so. Like there's like for the sake of the crew, like I'm trying to protect them. Um, but I think those scenes have been tough. No, I think a better answer to your question, the toughest decision or the toughest place I've had to be is as a director and as a leader, making the tough calls with how are we going to tell the story, given what we have, in a way that is both satisfying and not compromising anything. And sometimes when you're met with constraints the day of, that you're like, I was not expecting to have to deal with this, but here we go. And I'm trying to think of there was one case in particular where we were legitimately running out of sunlight. And there's only so much that you can do in that situation, being like, okay, what can we do right now to make sure we get this shot? That's a really important scene. Like we've scheduled and shot out other scenes that are really important that they needed maximum daylight for. Now we're getting sunset and golden hour only lasts so long. We need to get this scene. We have two more times to get this. What do we need to do in order to make this good right now? And how can I also, as a leader, and this is an area that I've had to work on because artists are usually like such bleeding hearts that it's easy for emotion to just kind of like leak out. Be like, okay, no, it's my job right now to make sure everyone is supported doing what they need to do. How can I like let go of what I'm feeling right now and just be fully present and encouraging while also having people be focused and making the tough decisions for what has to get cut that day. And those ones, that always sucks. And it always sucks
Yeah.
when you look back into the footage that you got and you're like, I thought we had it. What happened? Like what is going on here? And in every single one of those situations, it's never as bad as you think it is. Like your first master cut or your first mix of the edit, you're always thinking like, man, did I just like suck as an actor? Like I'm just confused, right? Like I thought that was so much better. And then you find out, oh, I was just looking at the wrong take. Okay, great. That was just the one of them that I needed to release into the ether before we got into it. Um,
Mhm.
but I think those were really hard moments of like, man, how am I going to handle investing all of this money into this project and it's not everything I want it to be? And then
Mhm.
surrendering that and being like, well, it can be what it is. And like this gets to be a learning moment. I get to take this and move forward. And honestly, it's like there was still a lot of good that came from that. Okay, you know what? I wish that hadn't happened, but I'm so grateful that it did because it's going to make me better moving forward. And having that mentality. It's hard to do. It's really hard to
Mhm.
do. But I think any time that you're making a project, like your friend, like has her movie and
Mhm.
like she's directing, that's so awesome. That is a incredibly vulnerable position to be in because you're trying to almost like birth this thing into the world that has been in your mind for so long. You have such a set expectation on it. And then when it's out there, you're like, oh, okay, so I didn't expect the moment you got on your tricycle, you were going to turn into the curb. Oh, okay. Whew. Hmm. Okay, well, let's get him back on the main road.
Yeah.
That metaphor is really going downhill. But I there's so much there where it's hard to care so much about how something is made and yet also release what the final product is. Um,
Mm.
that was a long way of describing that. Without you got me verbally processing because that's a very complex feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with her story, I know that she's hired a director as well.
Okay.
But she's a writer. She wrote it. But I think because she's never done it before, she wanted a director there, and she can co-direct, but there's somebody
Mm.
there that knows exactly what they're doing, just to have that support in her
So
story. And I think
smart.
that's great.
So
Yeah.
smart. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you get to shadow someone, oh, great things always come. That's you got a great
Mhm.
friend.
Yes, she's amazing. And I've been there from the start. So we actually met on a different page because I used to run a different
Mhm.
page and we
Okay.
met there. And then she followed me onto this one. And then I've watched her thing grow and turn into this. And it's so cool. So
That's
cool to
beautiful.
see.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Okay. How do you protect your creativity in an industry that can be very outcome driven?
Hmm. Outcome driven. Yes. That is a great point. Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. Like sometimes your creative moments are for you and sometimes they're for someone else. Like
Hmm.
sometimes when you show up on set, it literally is just a job. And that's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard when you get a role in a character and you realize that what the director is wanting is not like everything that you thought this character could be. But
Mm,
you have to surrender and be humble and know that, okay, well, my job right now is not to make this about me. It's about
mm,
telling this story the way this director wants it to be told. I am a paint on the canvas.
mm.
I get to be a
Yes.
beautifully shining, like cobalt blue, like color, right? But if someone needs me to be more like maroon, okay, well, if that's what you're asking for, I'll be maroon. And I'll do that. There might be certain times where I'm like, you know what, I might not work with that person again because I didn't feel the space to really do what ultimately would have made something I was like really, really proud of. But I'm still grateful for that opportunity to work with them and to be able to get paid to make art and to be stretched
Mhm.
outside of it. Maybe it's even like you're stretched outside of your comfort zone, right? And I
Mm.
think it's really important as actors we identify like, am I having a hard time with the notes that I'm being given because I don't see how they make sense with everything else in the text? Or is it because my scope might have been a little bit too myopic and a little too small? Okay, well maybe I'm wrong here. Okay, well if they're wanting this, what does that look like? Let me try that. And then maybe also asking, hey, can I try this one other way and see if you like it? Like let me do give you what you need first, but then also let me try this. Because in those environments, just having something that was like, okay, I got to really do everything that I could have, and even the person moves in a different direction, I at least gave them this. I think
Yeah.
that helps a lot. Besides obviously making your own art, because if
Yeah.
you're showing up to set with the expectation that it's going to be about your catharsis as an actor and as an artist, I think that's hard.
Yeah. I was speaking to a director the other day, and she likes to not give too much notes straight up and let you guys do it the way that you envision the scene and then go into the notes afterwards. So she said sometimes they get it right off the bat, and then sometimes they just need a little bit of guidance, but at least she can know where they're thinking
Mm,
first. And I love
yeah,
that
that's a
because it
really good
gives,
perspective.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, who was that director?
Andy Lee. I've just
Andy
done an
Lee.
interview with her. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
She's
Yeah, I
great.
really like her perspective on that.
Yes. Yeah. No, she's wonderful. All right. What's next for you that you're genuinely excited about?
Ooh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very excited for our shorts or our trailers to come out from Raymond Studios for you to see the sci-fi. So excited. Um, I'm very excited for some of the other stories that we have down the pipeline too. Um, there are some very fun kind of like Mask of Zorro-esque projects we have in the works. There's some pirate things that we have in development, which are very, very fun. Um, but yeah, I think I'm really excited about Heart of Gold. That's the Western that we have.
Yes. Saw that.
Um, that one's really fun. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see, especially those two stories made. Um, yeah, there's one other story that we have developed quite a bit, which is a divine rom-com, which is very
Mm-hmm.
fun, where you see how angels and demons influence the romance and the orchestration of two soulmates coming together and how it's
Mm.
also interfered with. And that one is really, really fun. I'm excited to bring that one to light.
That one's right up my alley as well. I
Yeah,
love these.
that one.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I said I love these ideas. I love them.
Ah, I'm
So
happy
I
to hear that.
saw your heart of gold as well, and I was like I saw that one first, and then I saw Timeless. I'm like, oh my God, this one. Just because I'm a sci-fi, I love sci-fi, so that
Yeah.
obviously stole my heart. But they both looked phenomenal. So
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah,
yeah.
no, going for Timeless, there was so much thought put into how, like, obviously, as soon as you're going back and forwards in time, there's a certain level of like, you have to surrender, like,
Mm,
how the butterfly effect is really kicking in here. I think one show that did it really well was Loki in terms of how they handled time travel, and it was definitely an
mm-hmm,
inspiration. Um, but the mechanics of the watch that I designed
mm-hmm.
in order to make it actually feel grounded in some hypothetical physics that could exist was really, really, really fun to figure out.
So cool. And I think it's very important in shows like that to actually go like with the background and the continuity of things have to be for that time as well. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
big factor when it comes to it. So I've seen a lot of sci-fis that try to do that, but you're like, well, that's modern. That wouldn't be here in this time, and it kind of just throws everything off. But
Yes. It's the
but yeah.
Starbucks cup in the Game of Thrones scene. We're just like, what is that doing there? That no.
Yes. No, doesn't work there. Starbucks wasn't around. Yeah, no, and these are the things. Continuity is one of the biggest things for me. It bugs me. Even like when I watch a show now, I'll watch something and the continuity be off, and it will like just turn me off the whole thing,
Oh yeah.
and it's hard. But
That's
sometimes I try
real.
to ignore it because I'm like, I really like this show, but that's bugging me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I've gotten so good so quickly when it comes to working behind the camera. My wife, for a huge part of her career before she was directing, was a script supervisor. And they're the continuity czar. Like they're in charge of making sure that things make sense and line up. There's a script supervisor on a lot of the verticals that I've worked with, Ksenia. She's been so great. She's so much fun. And she's definitely helped keep a lot of us in line, making sure that like things line up. And in certain points, like it's a vertical. You only have so much time that you're shooting in that day. You have to kind of do what you can and move on. But yeah, she's so much fun to work with, and she's definitely caught a lot of stuff that we're like, this should probably be in this scene because actually the costume was different here and stuff like that. We're like,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, same scene, this person's now wearing a shawl. Like, what up? Like, no.
And I love that she's great at that because that's just, yeah, so, so important.
Mm.
Okay. What kind of impact do you want your work to leave?
Mm, that's a beautiful question. I would love my work to leave people hopeful for romance and masculinity done well and
Mm,
femininity done well. To for people to have permission to be true to themselves
yeah.
and to have hope for a beautiful love story that while it exists in fiction, they actually can have something like that in their own lives that I've got to experience with my wife.
That's beautiful. Love that. Love that. Okay. What's something you wish you knew earlier in your career?
Man, so many things. I wish I knew so many things earlier. I think having the knowledge that I am not my last take. I was watching an Actors on Actors interview with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, and she said that, and it really spoke to me. I think coming from a background in mechanical engineering, it can be very creative, but it's also pretty linear. Like you're going for the right answer, you're going for the most efficient, most optimum solution, which can be so good in so many different ways. I think the byproduct of that can create a mentality of perfectionism and performance where you're like, I'm trying to get the ultimate thing, the best of what can be. And I found that as an artist, that can really get in the way of discovering something new. And like in order to discover something new, you have to give yourself permission to make a mess of something. And there's a quote I really love, perfect is the enemy of good. And a lot of the time, like you'll try to make something perfect and you put so much pressure on it, so much pressure on yourself. And unintentionally, you'll realize how much pressure you put on the people around you because you're so fixated on like having the perfect thing. And I wish I let that go earlier. I wish I let go of I wish I feel like I had more freedom to play and to discover, while not sacrificing excellence because those aren't mutually exclusive. But to really know that I have permission to create an environment of play.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
But
think that's
the
huge.
most important thing there is the fact that you did learn that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
I wish I learned it earlier, but I'm really happy that I learned it now.
Yes, yes, it's important that you learned it at least.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything you want anyone to know about you or your work?
Hmm. That's a great question. Um, I'm really excited for the work that I do with my wife to really create a new type of production company and a new space where both the not only what we make being excellent, but how we make it being done really well and really honoring to the people that are involved, and that people would be excited knowing that watching our shows, our movies, our verticals, that the people that we work with are really honored and taken care of well, and that we're really excited about what we're making and really, really excited to share it with you.
Yeah, yeah. No, your production company is like top for me at the moment. Like everything I've seen, I love. So I love.
Wow, that's high praise. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I have two more questions left. What's your
Okay.
funniest moment on set?
Funniest moments on set. Okay, this is gonna be great. Okay, so I am my background before acting and before mechanical engineering is I used to like play hockey growing up. And like I have like I don't know what if it's my brother who's like my height but weighs like 230 pounds. Like he's a really big muscular guy. I
Mm,
have his legs. And so
mhm.
there's been times on set where they will size me down a couple of times and I'm like, hey, yo, like I have to kick down a door and these are not stretchy pants. And I had this one scene where I was working with on the set for Falling for You again. And there's a scene where the actress Casey, her character is about to be assaulted. I kick down the door, come in, rescue her, and protect her from this vile, evil man. And in kicking down the door, like the first time, no issue whatsoever. Second time, boom, we're hitting a flow. Third time, all right, I'm feeling myself. I'll give this some energy. And in doing so, I kicked the door so hard that my pants ripped open. And like I finished the scene completely unbeknownst to me because the sound of the door getting hit by my foot was loud enough to cover any tearing fabric that ended up resulting. Thank the Lord I
Mm.
was wearing boxer briefs. But like I go in, finish the scene. I looked at the stunt coordinator, Pantera, and he looks at me like goes over to the DP and starts whispering in her ear. She's like, "What?" Looks away, and I'm just like, "What happened?" Oh, I'm just gonna cross right now and make sure that this doesn't become a situation for people. And so like the dynamics, I felt so bad for the director, Wes. He like looked over at me and like, "Oh." Okay. Oh my God. How are we gonna do this? Okay. Do we have an extra pair of pants on set? No. Okay. Okay, we're gonna shoot around this. So we shot around me where I'm like lunging forward, like, Casey, are you okay? So I'm like doing like a splits basically in order to cover where the crotch tear is. It was ridiculous. It was so fun. The
Oh,
editor totally made it work, but it was that was a wild moment.
yeah.
And so then there's like trying to stitch up the pants with like these plastic little staples. And then the next time they used that shot, or like we had to do the scene again, and it immediately ripped open. Like there was this
Mhm.
completely just eviscerated. And so the next day, we ended up getting an extra pair that was like a size bigger, thank the Lord.
Mhm.
But the wardrobe was like, okay, like you're gonna tell me if you're doing any kicks, right? And I was like, absolutely. Also, my calves, my quads are what they are. So maybe
Yeah.
like work with me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, do you know what's funny is I've heard that exact story from somebody else as well.
Really?
It happens
Oh, I
more than
thought
once.
I thought I was just there on Wardrobe Terran Island by myself. I'm happy
You
that
are
there's
not the only one.
okay. I'm happy to have some company. That is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the
Oh, it's
probably the funniest
so
moment
good.
I've had on set.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Okay, last question. If you could go back and relive a single day of your career, which day would you pick?
Hmm. I think I would relive the day that we wrapped for Heart of Gold. That was the first ever project that my wife and I made under our production company that was just us. And the feeling of excitement and relief knowing that we got it. And
Mm.
just all the work that we put into that. Man, that's a day that I'll relive so many times. I'm really happy we got like behind the scenes moments that we can like really look
Mhm.
back and enjoy and savor those. Um, and I'm really happy because we were really intentional to be present. You're so focused, you're trying to get so much done. But to the best of our ability, really like soaking up the moments when they were coming. Um, yeah, that was a really great moment.
Yeah, it would have been so surreal at the end of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you said
Mhm.
it. Surreal's a great word.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also you're just so
Oh,
grateful because everyone else just showed up to like be there, right? Like
mhm.
we had so many friends that we've been in the industry with for a long time and they were willing to be a part of that project and just like the
Mm.
gratitude that like, man, you want to be a part of the thing that we're making.
Yeah.
That's man, to be in a place right now where people so believe in us and what we're doing has been fantastic.
I mean, I'm not an actor by any means, but if I had to choose, I know that people obviously need to live, but if I had to choose something that I was going to be a part of, it would be something where the person loves the story that they're making rather
Yeah.
than trying to make money from something. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get to do that as an interviewer and like and doing your edits too. I love the edit that you
Mm.
did for the shoot that was like a sci-fi noir. Now
Yeah.
knowing your like love of sci-fi, I was like, that's why she picked that one. Okay.
Yeah,
Because that one
that's
was
why I
so
picked
much
that
fun. I
one.
got I got reached out to by a photographer and he was
Mm.
like, hey, I would love to do like a shoot for print with you. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, well, I'm a little bit more restricted in terms of what I agreed to do to. What would you be interested in shooting? He's like, dude, honestly, whatever you want. I was like,
Mm.
really? Okay, Tommy, how about cyber noir? And he was like, let's do
Hmm.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yes. So we had so much fun creating a whole narrative that we are looking forward to creating into a full project at some point in the future. But from the
Amazing.
the seed that started from that session, with him, and my wife and I are gonna make a story from it. But that was so much fun.
I love that. I love that. And like I also noticed he did them in red as well.
Yeah, I got to play. So, did you read? How far into the descriptions of those posts did you read?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so there's a whole like short story in each of those posts that come
Mm.
together as its own narrative. And so I
Oh,
got to play two different characters of that story. One who is the detective researching and like discovering a group of like what he perceives as criminals working in
mm.
the underbelly of this dystopia. And then you get to hear the other side, on the other side of the table, when I get to be like the radical rebel who's like been working in this dystopic, like biohazardous area and like causing a little bit of a revolution. And then the next one from that, which I don't know if we've released yet, is me like speaking to the love of my life now that I'm in prison. Um, and that one got to actually be my wife, which was really, really fun. So that one was a really fun story to like build the world for and just tell with a couple of frames. Um,
Well,
it was
I'll be
so much fun.
looking at that right after we get off this. I'll be going to look
Yes.
at those. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
absolutely.
no, I saw those photos and I was just like, yes, this is me. I need to edit these photos. So I
That's
love that.
awesome. Man, I'm so
Yeah.
happy that resonated with you. That's a really big blessing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have the interview with me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for wanting to talk with me. This has been fantastic.
Anytime, anytime. Well, you have a good day and I'll speak to you again very soon.
Absolutely. Enjoy your morning in Australia.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.